Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Tri Marathon. Today we'll be looking at the halfway point of the series, titled Confession. Well, gee, I already confessed to being a casual fan. What else is there to confess? That this joke is predictable as fuck. So yeah, there isn't much I can say about the backstory of this film, other than my friends and I getting really pissed near the end of the movie because of the final battle. So let's just dive in and see if this movie was worth the anger all those years ago. So our film begins sometime after the ending of the second movie. Most of the main cast is doing what the audience likely did after seeing the second movie and trying to process what the fuck happened, while May goes off to cry about it. But when she breaks down at the school, Mimi and Sora go off to help her. Okay. That's a good thing to do for a friend who's upset. So naturally, after this emotional breakdown, they take her home after the school day ends and not to a place of major conflict, right? Oh man, they are shitty friends. Seriously, your friend just had an emotional breakdown in front of you. Why the fuck would you take her to the place where your friends who just witnessed a murder from her Digimon would be? That's like taking a friend who just had a panic attack to a highly populated area. Alright. So what's the main plot? Well, Meicoomon is quickly infecting the electronics all over the place, and the main Digimon are getting infected by the same virus that turned Ogremon into a monster. So they have to stop Meicoomon, or else the world will be in danger of losing their electronics due to the death of the digital world, or some crap like that. Basically, all that's important is that they fuck it up, and the digital world gets rebooted to deal with Meikoomon's infection, causing the Digimon to lose their memories. Until you see the final part of this movie where you realize that Meicoomon is still around, basically rendering the reboot pointless except for the Digimon losing their memories, because this film reveals that Meicoomon was basically the source of the infection and can easily infect the digital world again. It's almost like the reboot was a stupid fucking idea or something, especially using it in the third movie of a 6-movie series. Also, yeah, nothing says growth like going back to basics, am I right? Fuck this story. It is so mind-numbingly stupid, and as the film went on, I started to care less and less about it because it got stupider and stupider. And I think I figured out why that is. Because if these characters weren't hit with the idiot stick, unlike the first 2 movies in the series, there would likely not be much of a plot. For instance, in the first 20 or so minutes of the film, Matt talks to the government agents about what happened to Meicoomon and Ken, but instead of telling Matt that the 02 kids are missing, or even the information that Meicoomon was the source of the infection, Maki doesn't give him the information, and the scene pretty much goes nowhere. Oh, and to just shut down this potential point, no, it wouldn't really alter the friendship they had with Mei. They made friends with Gatomon and Ken, 2 former villains in the past series. I really doubt much would change in terms of the friendship if they knew the fucking truth. Hell, not even Daigo, who knows Maki is lying, doesn't even go to Matt to tell him about what happened to the 02 kids. Are you kidding me? I know why Maki wouldn't tell them, since at the end of the film we know she's involved with the bad guys, but Daigo not telling them? Really? That is freaking stupid. But if he did tell them, then they could have potentially dealt with that issue and or worked on a solution to fix the problem, and the story would be wrapped up pretty quickly. Another example of this whole idiot stick thing is TK not telling anyone about Patamon's infection. Sure, he doesn't want to lose Patamon again, and this movie states that it might not have fixed anything, which, well, we don't know if it would have or not. But if he did tell them about the infection, they would have tried to work on a solution, probably around the clock, and there likely wouldn't be much of a story. So the film paints him as an idiot just for the sake of having it. It's not even just them. A bunch of the other characters in this acted stupid/idiotic. And if you have to do that in order to run a story, then I'm sorry, but I think your story fails. And while I originally planned on bitching about TK's portrayal in this movie, since him not telling anyone about the infection so that he didn't want Patamon to get in trouble basically sounds like something he would have done in the first series and not now, I have a bigger issue with the idea of the reboot itself, since this film's story is based around the digital world slowly dying, and the best solution being a reboot. My issue being, why even do a reboot? Ignoring how this mucks up the continuity of the 02 epilogue for a moment, why introduce this reboot at all, especially in a movie series with one of its main themes being about growth and progression? By removing the memories of the Digimon and sending the world back to 0, you're effectively going back to basics and doing something fans of adventure already saw, the Digidestined becoming friends with the Digimon for the first time. What doesn't help this idea further is how half-assed it feels. Keep in mind that the reboot was intended to restore balance to the digital world since it was on the verge of collapsing, yet it kept the source of the infection around despite Meicoomon being data/part of the digital world. And even if the later movies admit that the reboot was botched for the sake of continuing the story, I still take issue with this reboot because not only does it make the 4th movie effectively a retread/waste of time, but it also seems like this was done for the sake of getting the Digidestined to go to the digital world, which you could have done that without rebooting everything. I think that's my biggest problem with this. They overcomplicated all this when they really didn't need to. They made the infection spread really quickly, they had homeostasis come the hell out of nowhere, they made Takaru incompetent, and put his friends in danger potentially, all for the sake of a reboot to get our characters in the digital world that is still infected. I'm sorry, but no. I am not a fan of this. This feels worthless and dumb in the grand scheme of things, not only from a continuity level, but in terms of the main themes of this series. And since this film's story is centered around this reboot idea basically and everything going to shit, the story suffers as a result, on top of making the characters dumb/incompetent for the sake of having this story. So yeah, fuck the story. Fuck the characters. Not even Mei is not much better since she spends most of the movie crying about Mekumon despite being told in the beginning that her friends are there for her. And hell, she doesn't even go to the digital world in the final bits of the movie. Nice to see that throughout this movie, and despite being given a lot of screen time, she learns fuck all. The music is about the same on both fronts, so at least there's one positive I can say about this movie. Oh, and the animation is slightly better than the last film, until the final fight with Maycrackmon, that is. Then it decides to shit the bed again. And then smooths out after the fight's over. But yeah, this movie just fucking took a lot out of me. I know I could have talked about the scene where the Digidestined were spending their last days with their Digimon, or how Kari's only role in the movie was to get possessed by homeostasis, a thing that comes right the fuck out of nowhere, or that the villain sucks, again. But by this point, I just couldn't fucking care anymore about this movie. And to me, this is probably worse than the movie that actively pissed me off, like a silent voice. Because at least with that film, it did piss me off with its characters, but I was able to feel something towards it. This film just made me feel apathetic before I hit the halfway point of this film. And when I start to feel apathetic towards something, I just want to turn it off instead of continue it. So I guess in terms of ranking these movies, this film will be number 3. Sure, I had issues with the last movie, but at least I was able to keep my attention and do a decent job of developing Joe and Mimi's character arcs. This film couldn't even do that. Hell, I couldn't even care when Tendamon made his last stand and sacrificed himself to try and save his friends, because by that point, the film had drained so much out of me that I just rolled my eyes at it instead of got emotional towards the sacrifice. So yeah. Looks like I found a new low point in this series. Can I get any lower? Tune in next time for the next installment of the Tri series, Loss. See you then. For the longest time, I'd blame myself for Vincent abandoning his wife and I. For the longest time, I built up my anger because I was too weak and scared to deal with my issues. And as a result, when the rings came to this world, my rage was so strong that I got the final Red Lantern ring. The very same ring that my father used to slaughter the Red Guardian before discarding it to gain more power. I was so terrified of becoming exactly like him. But, luckily, I'm not him, and I never will be. I confronted my anger and defeated it. I can control this power, and I found happiness. So I have no need of this ring/power anymore. Time to move on with the next chapter of my life. And in order to do that, it's time to say goodbye. De-animate.